Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Saturday. It's the weekend. I hope everybody's doing okay. I want to welcome any new subscribers and thank you everybody for being here. I know everybody's talking about Sebastian Rogers, and I'm still praying that they find him. There's really not a whole lot to say. Same with the Summer Wells case. I mean, there's nothing really going on, you guys, but I'd like to talk about some similarities in the Summer Wells case and Sebastian Rogers case, and there's just some really interesting things, and I want you to know him, and I want you to see this case, and I want to talk about it tonight. So I'm just gonna familiarize you guys. This is another child from Tennessee who I don't believe has ever been found. They say they found bone fragments. They say they found his cowboy boot, but Joe Clyde Daniels, baby Joe Clyde Daniels, disappeared. They said he disappeared. The father said that little Joe Clyde opened the door that was really high, pulled up a coffee table, unlocked the door, and got out. And it really reminds me a lot of Summer Wells' case. But under fair use and copyright laws, I'm just going to share a little bit about this, and I'm going to discuss it. And I just want to talk to you guys how important it is to look at the similarities, and then you can decide what's best, for the case. So here we go.
What started as a rescue mission turned to a recovery effort in the
There's
days
baby
following
Joe.
the disappearance of 5-year-old Joe Clyde Daniels. His parents are both behind bars for their alleged roles. His father charged with criminal homicide. As we approach 3 years since baby Joe was last seen, there's an ongoing outcry of anger from the community. News 2's Alex Dennis reminds us the pain is still very fresh for residents, many who feel a burden of responsibility.
The search hadn't slowed for 5-year-old Joe Clyde Daniels III, even days after.
I just want to say here that Joe Clyde Daniels was 5 years old when he went missing too. Just like Summer Wells, just like Michael Vaughn. And it took him 3 years. I mean, it was going on 3 years. Actually, it took him longer. I think it took him 4 years, and then I think it was like the 6th year that the father and mother went to trial, and they both were arrested. And I am trying to get my sound up here. It don't seem to go up any farther. Hold on. I don't know what this is here. I don't want that. Not looking for that. Okay, I need this to go up. Oh, I can turn the volume up again. Excuse me, I gotta put you down. Okay, now let's try it now. Okay, so, we get impatient, but, it took a while for Joe Clyde Daniels, and it was hard because they had to prosecute without a body, you guys. So listen to this.
After he went missing April 4th, 2018.
It takes a toll on us mentally, physically, with baby Joe still not being recovered. But we've got a search plan this Saturday.
Instead, that Saturday, April 7th, would bring shocking news that ended in shackles.
All right.
The now 30-year-old father who reported his own son missing, charged with criminal homicide after confessing to killing his son, later recanting his story.
It's very painful for everyone.
Remembers Dixon County Mayor Bob Ryle, who recalls the moment the accused, Joseph Ray Daniels, walked through a gauntlet of angry citizens, chanting outside the Dixon County courtroom in 2018. Armed with a litany of signs convince the parents of baby Joe are responsible for his sudden disappearance.
Dad knows where, Mom too.
One after another.
You were there my first day and my last?
Messages for Crystal Nicole Daniels, now 29, who police arrested April 9th, 2018, charged with aggravated child neglect or endangerment.
There's the frustration of not being able to find them, but the tragedy when it occurred, it really cut to the soul of the community.
In the years following the child's disappearance, authorities never stopped looking for the body of baby Joe. The most recent search happened here in the backyard of the boy's residence in May of 2020 by the TBI. Residents still reeling in the revelation that the sweet, nonverbal boy who has autism may never be found.
Can't look across the street. I'm probably gonna cry. I'm gonna try not to. Even when I go to mow my pasture or something, I'm still looking for him.
A prevalent pain felt by the entire community 3 years after baby Joe was last seen alive. Alex Dennis, News 2.
Okay, so that's little Joe Clyde Daniels. So his father got life in prison without parole. And, he confessed to his son's murder, and then he tried to recant and say he didn't really want to confess that, whatever. But what I want to show you is a few things tonight. Hold on here, I gotta scroll up here. I found a way to charge my thing, so my computer here. Hold on. All right, I want you to see the closing arguments, and we're going to discuss this, but
most traditional buy now, pay later options have 4 fixed payments that stack higher and higher.
I hate these commercials.
And they've said
Hold
he's
on.
doing something weird. No, he's looking for his kid. And they're coming back in from the north. And they've said he's doing something weird. Suspicious activity as to where is him leaving, going
Hold on.
south. And that shows him coming from the north.
Come.
Hi there, it's me, your friend Joe.
Okay. I gotta get this to the beginning. And I'm sorry, you guys, I didn't mean to, Oh, come on. I'll turn you around, you can see me. Hi, I look terrible. My eyes are watering and I didn't want to put no makeup on, so sorry. But, just listen to these closing arguments, some of them for a few minutes, and we're going to talk about it. Hold on here.
Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. And before we get started, I do just want to tell you thank you for being here. I know you've been away from your families a long time, traveled a long way. You've been really patient with us, and it's obvious that you've all been attentive throughout the trial, and I know everyone here appreciates that. So I just wanted to say thank you before we get going. But we're here today to talk about Joe Clyde Daniels. Joe Clyde, he loved his flannel shirts, he loved his cowboy boots, and he loved to eat apples. You heard from Miss Donnerstag, Joe Clyde was full of life. He loved to have fun, and he liked to go to school and to learn.
I don't know why.
He had some physical and mental limitations. He was developmentally delayed, especially when compared to his peers. You heard that he couldn't speak very well. Full sentences were not something that he'd learned to do yet. He scored in the first percentile of gross motor skills, but he was making progress in his time at school. Mrs. Understag and other teachers at Centennial were working hard with him, and he was making good progress. But then all that came to an end on a dark, cold, stormy night in April of 2018. And to tell you a little bit more about that, I want to refer you to the testimony that you heard of young Alex Nolan. Alex testified that him and Joe Clyde got home from school on April the 3rd, or a little after 3 o'clock. You saw the bus video. You saw them getting off the school bus. Aunt Joyce met them at the end of the driveway, and they walked up to the house, and it was a normal day. It was a normal afternoon. Nothing was out of the ordinary. They ate supper, and eventually they went to bed. You heard testimony.
Trigger warning. This is a very sad story. His brother Alex slept in the master bedroom. It's hard to see the screen. I don't know what to do. Okay.
FanDuel Casino has your chance at the #1 feeling, winning. Winning ranks higher than any other feeling, higher than number 30.
Sorry.
So the testimony was that Alex and Joe Clyde watched TV and they fell asleep in the master bedroom. Alex was awakened when Joe Clyde had peed in the floor. He walked to the other end of the house, told the defendant and Crystal Daniels what had happened, and they told him to go back to bed. So Alex went back to bed and went back to sleep. And you heard from his testimony, the next thing that he knew, he was awakened by a loud thump. He said, I let things cool down for a few seconds before he went out to see what was going on. And as we've spoken, the master bedroom is right next to the living room. He looks out the doors into the living room, and what he saw would change the course of his life and many others forever. He saw the defendant, Joseph Daniels, standing over the lifeless body of Joe Clyde.
Okay, I just want to pause it right there. And I just wanted to know if you guys caught the similarities right away, right there. Urinary, bathroom problems, okay, is the cause of this death. And anger. But, also, I just wanted to, there was something else I had to say here. Maybe I'll remember it. The other similarity, hold on here. What did he say? Well, anyways, you guys, there's a lot of similarities in this. There's the bedwetting, the bedwetting or the mess in the pants, okay? But there's other stuff here, listen.
He saw Aunt Joyce and Noah in the kitchen, and Crystal hiding at the other.
I'm sorry. Now I remember. The thump, you guys. Is it clicking with you about the thump? The loud thump. We got Katie Proudfoot over there talking about hearing a loud thump in the night. So, it's just really strange, okay? I'm just saying.
The other end of the house, just peeking around the corner. Later, a few minutes later, a few seconds later, he saw the defendant pick up the body and carry it outside. They went out the back door of the house, and Alex said he followed him a little later. After a few seconds, he went out to see what was going on. He said that the defendant laid the body of Joe Clyde in the front yard and then was walking all around the backyard. The defendant threatened Alex If you don't help me, I'm gonna beat you. So Alex opened the trunk and suggested putting the body in there. The defendant decided not to do that. He picked up the body and walked down the driveway. We can't tell you why he decided to carry the body down the driveway. We don't know. We know he did. Alex said he did. We also know that Jeannie Jones saw him down the road about 0.8 of a mile. She never wavered from saying it was him. She said he wasn't looking directly at me, but I saw him. Daniel McCormick saw somebody down there at the end of the driveway. We can't tell you if he saw the defendant, if he saw Joe Clyde, or if he saw Alex. We know that all three of them were out there that night.
Take note of the driveway. Walking down the driveway. Also, remember, the scent ended at the driveway, okay, for Summer. And now we're talking about this driveway here. Listen.
We know the defendant was hiding the body. We know Joe Clyde was out running for his life. And we know that Alex walked to the end of the driveway trying to see where the defendant was carrying his little brother's body. After that, after Alex watched the defendant carry the body south on Garner's Creek, he went back to the house. And he said, I tried to go to sleep as his young mind was trying to process what he'd seen. He said it was hard, but eventually I did. I was able to go back to sleep. You saw Alex testify. He was 8 years old when this happened. And he said, I didn't tell the truth in the beginning because I was trying to protect him. But that was a lie. He said, I'm here to tell you the truth now. I'm here to tell you what happened. And here's what the defendant says about Alex.
Alex, good. He's a good boy. He doesn't lie. He tells the truth. Don't worry, man. We told him, I said, you know, not to lie to anybody. You're going to tell the truth. I don't know anything about to make sure you told me everything.
The defendant says, Alex is a good boy. He doesn't lie. I know they interviewed him. I'm pretty sure he told him everything. Alex came in here this week and he told y'all everything. In the face of his stepdad, in the face of his grandparents, being questioned by lawyers.
So let's just talk about this for a minute. I really, truly believe, you guys, that in Summer Wells' case, that those brothers, one of them, maybe even the oldest one, and that's what we need to pray for, that those brothers would remember, that those brothers would not want to hold any secrets inside anymore, and that they would want to tell the truth and tell what happened to Summer Wells. And I really think that this is part of this, you know, that the brothers are going to be the key here. And so, you know, if you want to pray and you want to strategically pray, then pray that the brothers, just pray all the time, Lord, let the brothers come forward. Let them tell the truth. Let them expose this, because that's what needs to happen here. But yeah, I just find it interesting. The father threatened that boy, his son. He said he doesn't lie, but then he tried to say that that wasn't the truth. But, you know, his boy told him told the court what happened. But, yeah, he threatened his son that he was going to, you know, beat him, and he was scared. He was only 8 years old. And then he did tell, and he did testify, but let's just go forward because I want you to see some important things in here.
He came in and he told you what happened. Now he said that he watched Joseph Daniels carry the body down the road. And there's been a lot of things said about the body and about where the body is.
Down the road,
and if
please,
you recall,
please.
Almost 2 weeks ago at the convention center, I told you at the end of the trial, you're not going to know. We can't tell you. The law doesn't require us to tell you.
I'm sorry, but I just have to make this comment. Do you remember Don Wells had a dream he said about Summer Wells, and he said, "Where you been?" And she said, "Down the road." And, you know, there's just a lot of talk like that, and it just makes you wonder, you know what I mean? Like, think about this. This dad actually walked with his son and carried him down the road and got rid of him. And that's what I was telling you guys, that Candace could have easily done that when she was on Light Hollow Road. Don Wells, I believe they're both involved. I mean, everybody's innocent until proven guilty, but I am going to say that I truly believe that those parents are involved and that they're going to be arrested, and we're going to see a trial a lot like this one. So, except for Summer Wells' parents made a fool of themselves on YouTube, and trust me, they will use some of that footage when the trial starts for Summer Wells, and it will. There will be someone charged. I can promise you that. I don't think the TBI will ever give up looking for Summer. So, and it took them quite a long time, and they still didn't find little Joe Daniels. They didn't find him, Joe Clyde Daniels. But they found signs and that he was deceased, that they believed he was deceased. And it took a while, so don't give up hope. But anyways, it's just strange. He took the body down the road.
Can you see it?
Here we go.
No, I can't see it.
Wish there wasn't so many commercials, you know. Okay.
He says, I laid him in a field. Other times he says, I buried him. Other times he says, I threw him in the river. Other times he says, I put him in a pond. We can't tell you where the body is. We don't know if he buried him. He put him in the river. He put him in the pond. He put him in a dumpster somewhere like Love's Truck Stop or some other place. But what we do know is what Alex saw. We know what the defendant confessed to. We know what Jeannie Jones saw. So the night of April the 3rd, 2018, Alex goes back to sleep. And then he's awakened by the defendant the next morning, the morning of April the 4th, and the defendant's lie begins. The defendant concocts this story. Well, Joe Clyde, he must have just wanted to escape in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And think about that word, escape.
That's right. Think about that.
Someone's child escaping from your house? From
Sebastian Rogers.
Escape. It's an interesting choice of words.
Summer.
But he must have escaped. He
Michael.
must have pushed the coffee table from the living room over to the door. He must have climbed up on the coffee table. You heard Miss Donnerstag say he probably couldn't have done that. He struggled making big steps like that, climbing like that.
Here we go.
You heard Alex say, I've never seen him climb on the coffee table.
With a door.
But he must have pushed the coffee table over, he must have climbed up, he must have found the key, and he must have got the key in the lock, and he must have unlocked the lock.
Mm-hmm.
You heard the testimony, he struggled to unlock that toy plastic lock with the great big key that we brought in here and showed you. But this lock that's up near the door, up near the top of the door, over his head, he must have somehow got unlocked. He got the lock out of the latch. He put the key back on the mantle, because, of course, kids put keys back where they go and stuff back where they go. He threw the lock down in the toys, and then he pushed the coffee table back where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And he did all this without making any noise.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Miss Donnerstag and even the defendant have all said Joe Clyde was not quiet. When Joe Clyde was doing something, you knew it because he made noise. But this night, he must have done all this without making any sound. He didn't slam the door when he escaped.
Sebastian.
Because the defendant testified we can hear the door shut.
Never hear it shut, right?
But he must have escaped.
Yeah.
Despite all odds, all these things that no one's ever seen him do before, he learned how to do all those things in the middle of the night and escaped.
Yeah.
And based on that statement, one of the largest searches for a person in Middle Tennessee ensued. You've heard that there were hundreds and hundreds of citizen volunteers. There was over 20 law enforcement and emergency responder agencies that came and helped look. There was helicopters flying grid patterns. The TBI's airplane, with its infrared camera, was searching. You could see deer walking. You could see cows laying in the field.
Same with Summer, same with Sebastian.
Ponds were drained. Sonar was run through ponds. The area was combed. No Joe Clyde. And we've heard testimony about the large search area. And right here is the area of Harris Road. We know that the defendant's house is up off of the map. And he's down here. The search extends down into Hickman County. You can see right here, it says Dixon County. Right here is Hickman County, and that's the county line. The defendant's house is up north in Dixon County. The search extended all the way out into Hickman County. From 112 Garner's Creek in Dixon County, about 6 miles, I believe was the testimony of the search.
I love that,
and
Judge.
And it extended down into Hickman County. There's a picture of the latch, the lock, the key, all that Joe Clyde, according to the defendant, learned how to operate in the middle of the night so that he could escape.
Look at how high that lock is, and it's a padlock lock.
The TBI,
right.
Once suspicions started getting raised, questions started getting asked, there was a search of the house done on April the 7th. This is the exhibit from Greg Fort. He says the VCR team responded to 1112 Garner's Creek Road in Dixon, Tennessee, Dixon County, and they conducted a search. One of the things that was noted, as you'll note, there wasn't a whole lot found. You heard testimony from Agent Fort, though. He said it looked like the house had been cleaned. It had been vacuumed. It had been picked up. There was a possible bleach stain. He said, we can't tell you for sure whether or not it was bleach, in front of the coffee table in the living room. And the search goes on. But on April the 6th of 2018, the truth begins to come out. Agent Joey Boyd interviews the defendant, and he begins to come out with the truth of what happened. He beat his son. He threw him on the coffee table. He killed him. He disposed of the body. Detective Trevor Daniel takes the defendant out to McElhaney Road. He makes several comments on the way out there. I want the donations to go to his funeral expenses. Why did I kill my son? Alex was a good boy. He doesn't lie. And many more statements. He gives a written statement later on that night. I lied about where I told you the body was, but I killed my son. I disposed of the body. The next day, April the 7th, the defendant requests TBI to come talk to him. So they do. He says, I killed my son. He's consistent with that truth. But I think I threw his body in the river. So they drive down to the Piney River and multiple rivers. The Piney River specifically, the defendant says, I think it was here. I believe it was 7 or 8 out of 10 sure that he threw him in the Piney River. The defendant's driven back up where he talks to his dad. This is not a police questioning. This is the defendant speaking with his father, and what does he tell his father? I killed Joe. Ladies and gentlemen, he is consistent that he killed Joe Clyde. The place where he put the body changes. He didn't tell where he put the body. But think back through the witnesses. Has there been one single witness who testified that this was a false confession? Has there been one single exhibit saying this was a false confession? There's been inferences made by attorneys, but think back through the proof in your mind. And then think back through the statements that were made, because they were all consistent, and he killed his son. I want to get into a little bit now of what we have to prove. This is some of the jury instructions that the judge is going to read to you. Premeditated murder. The defendant unlawfully and intentionally killed the victim, Joe Clyde Daniels. We know he did that. We've gone through that evidence and that testimony. He did it with premeditation. We haven't talked about that yet. Let's talk a little bit about premeditation. What is that? Premeditation is an act is done after the exercise of reflection and judgment. Premeditation means that the intent to kill must have been formed prior to the act itself. It is not necessary that the purpose to kill pre-exist in the mind of the accused for any definite period of time. He had to form the intent to kill Joe Clyde Daniels before he actually killed Joe Clyde Daniels. So the question for the jury, for y'all, is, did he do that? And I want to take you back through some of the other proof.
I just want to say, and I just want to comment here that I don't know if Don and Candace unalived Summer. That's hard to say. But I've always felt like she was either deceased in the vehicle or she was trafficked out of there. And I don't know. I mean, it's a possibility that somebody lost their temper and Summer was hurt. I don't believe there was an accident. I don't believe that she ran off somewhere and got lost. And I don't believe somebody abducted her. But I do believe she was either sold or she was deceased in the back of that vehicle. And it's not like I heard somebody say, well, why would somebody do that? Candace isn't stupid enough to take a picture of someone deceased in a vehicle. You wouldn't believe the things that people do. You would not believe it. And it's really strange when I listen to Candace talk about that. You know, why did she want to know how her arms were? And why did she want to even take that video? I just don't believe her. Not for a minute. Not the way Summer's body was positioned in that truck. Under all them jugs and milk jugs and boxes. So, you know, I digress there. But anyways, I just don't know if Don and Candace actually unalived Summer or if they gave her to someone for an exchange of either drugs or money. So, and I don't believe she made it through whatever she was sent. If she was sent somewhere, I don't believe she made it through and that she's not alive anymore. And that's just my opinion. I'm sorry. But I'm going to continue on here because this is important.
And this is hard to see, but it's been made an exhibit, and it'll go back with you. The defendant lost his job quit, and the resignation was accepted and made effective immediately on February the 28th. And that began what was a downward spiral for Mr. Daniels. You sat and listened to some very explicit messages, which we're not going to go back and rehash, but you heard them, you know what they said, between the defendant's wife and Crystal Daniels. The defendant's wife, Crystal Daniels, and a Thomas Richards.
His wife was
now, we submit that the evidence would show
having an
Mr.
affair.
Daniels found those messages. And here's why. Again, on the screen, it's a little difficult to see, but it'll go back with you. You remember the last of the explicit messages ended March 28th. And on the screen there, it's Thomas Richards says, KK Night. Then on 3/29, he messages Crystal Daniels and says, hi. No response. 3:30, what's up? No response. Then again on 4/1, yo, no response.
FanDuel Casino has your chance at the #1 feeling, winning. Winning ranks higher than any other feeling, higher than number.
The defendant, after reading those messages, knew, or at least he thought, based on his reading of those messages, that his wife was going to leave him. She wanted another man. She'd started an online relationship with this man. But importantly, he knew she needed Joe Clyde to be able to do that. Do you remember the message she sent to Mr. Richards? I get $1,200 a month for Joe Clyde. With that and a job, do you think I can make it? That planted the seed in the defendant's mind. My wife can't leave me without Joe Clyde because she needs the $1,200 a month she gets for his disability to be able to make it. And then on March the 30th, remember the responses were on the 29th, 30th, and April 1st. The hi, yo, what's up? In the middle of that, on March the 30th, on the defendant's phone, he began searching anonymous paternal test and then visits a website about paternity testing. Paternity testing where the mother and father don't know. That was done at 11:51 p.m. and 11:52 p.m. on March the 30th. And then at 12:06 a.m. on March 31st, some 14 minutes later, he sends a message to his mother. F this world. By the time you read this, I'll be 6 feet under. And then on April the 3rd, he's visiting websites about airplane tickets, Greyhound bus tickets, rental car, some of that being in Wichita, Kansas, which is where Thomas Richards lives, where his wife was planning to go with Alex on a trip. And then on 4/3, Mr. Daniel's wife texts him and says, where are you? And he says, mental health. And it's important to note, if you recall from the testimony, at this point, Big Joe and Belle were gone on the truck. They weren't home. The seed was planted that Crystal needed Joe Clyde's money to be able to leave the defendant.
I want you to think about Candace and Hunter for a minute. I told you that I wondered if Don got upset at Candace for being with Hunter And that maybe he figured he'd just take Summer completely away from her. And it is a possibility. I mean, this guy, a whole bunch of stuff built up. He was stressed. He lost some work. His wife's having an online affair and saying this, so yeah. I mean, things build up. Anger.
I let him out. I shut the door. I moved the coffee table.
I can't hear that either very good, but he'll explain what he says in a minute.
The defendant let Joe Clyde out. He put him out.
He put him out.
The door, he moved the coffee table. He went out and caught Joe Clyde down by the road and took him back up to the house.
He did. And this
premeditation, ladies and gentlemen.
This is what I'm telling you. That Sebastian could have run out, and then he was found and drugged back in, just like with Joe Clyde Daniels. Listen, it can happen.
Admit to you began to be formed when he found those messages, and it was formed on that trip back up to the house. Because what happened when they got back to the house? The defendant killed Joe Clyde. Alex walks out, sees the defendant standing over Joe Clyde's lifeless body. Felony murder. That the defendant unlawfully killed the victim, Joe Clyde, and that the killing was committed in the perpetration or the attempt to perpetrate aggravated child abuse, and the defendant intended to commit the aggravated child abuse.
I can't get it to just the light. And you're not going to be able to hear that, but just give him a minute and he'll tell you what he's saying here. And then this is almost over, and we're going to
How'd you beat him?
talk.
I threw him on the floor. I spanked him countless times. I threw him on the coffee table. Might that have made a thump that woke up young Alex?
So you never tell everyone exactly what happened? No. Why not? Because I was afraid, and so I was. I need help. I've been to the hospital several times for something like this. After this. Why did I kill my son?
He lost his mind. I think he really did.
Further, I want to make a note here. Did you hear that last statement? Why did I kill my son? Think about the other statements that you've heard the defendant say. That boy.
That boy.
The boy.
The boy.
But here, as the truth is coming out, it's why did I kill my son?
Sound familiar, that boy?
He says he never told Crystal exactly what happened because he was afraid someone would find out. Aggravated child abuse requires the defendant knowingly, other than by accidental means, treat a child in such a manner as to inflict injury. We know that happened because Joe Clyde was killed. The act of abuse resulted in serious bodily injury. That the child was 8 years of age or less, or vulnerable because the child was mentally defective. You have heard the testimony. Joe Clyde was 5 years old when he was killed. You've also heard the testimony about Joe Clyde being developmentally delayed.
Seems like these children have some issues. Like, I think Summer did too. I think she was delayed a little bit. And Joe Clyde Daniels, he was autistic.
ask you to return a verdict of guilty because the night of April the 3rd, 2018, that man killed his son on a cold, dark, stormy night and hid his body. Don't reward him for concealing the body. He killed his son.
Okay. Now, you guys, isn't that terrible? I mean, but you know, what I'm trying to tell you guys is that a lot of these are so, oops, sorry. I'm trying to go up here. Hold on here. I don't know why I'm in that. Okay, hold on. I want to show you something here quickly. It won't be as long as that was, but I think it's important. About the people who seen him on the road that night. There was a lady and a man who seen this father on the road when they were driving at night, in the middle of the night, and he was carrying his son. So hold on here, I'm gonna get to her testimony, the lady, and we're almost there. Okay, right here. So okay, listen to what this lady says here. Oh, well, it's halfway. Let's see.
All right, you signed this statement on April the...
Hold on. I'm sorry, you guys.
The man you say was Mr. Daniels, did you see...
I'm sorry, you guys. I gotta bring this back, and I need my finger to do this. Okay. Sorry about that.
And if you will, please speak loudly enough for the gentleman standing in the back of the room to be able to hear what you're saying, all right?
Okay. Good morning, Miss Jones.
Good morning.
Will you state your first and last name for the court, please?
Jeannie Jones.
Thank you. Can we spell your first and last name?
JENNYJONES.
Thank you. And thank you for getting up early this morning to be with us. Try to get you out of here as quick as possible, okay? Miss Jones, in April of 2018, what did you do for a living?
Bail bonds.
Bail bonding? And just kind of briefly, what does a bail bonding person do?
Just post bail for someone in jail.
Okay, so you write or authorize a bond to get somebody out of jail.
Right.
And on the evening of April the 3rd of 2018, did you go to Williamson County to write a bond for someone?
I did.
Okay, and do you remember the name of that person?
I don't.
Okay. Do you know about what time you went to Williamson County Jail?
Probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock.
PM?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And after you wrote the bond for the person in jail, what did you do then?
I took her to her house.
Okay.
And we had to wait for someone to bring a key for her to get in because she was locked out. Then I went back to Dixon.
Okay. So just to kind of give a general idea of time frame, you think it was around 10:30 or 11 when you wrote the bond?
Mm-hmm.
And that's in Williamson County?
Right.
Which is the county south of Dixon County?
Yes.
And after you wrote the bond, did you go to a gas station?
I did.
Okay. Was the person that you bonded riding with you?
I don't think so. I think I'd already took her home.
You'd already taken her home? And so did you go to her home before you went to get gas in Franklin or after?
Before.
Okay. So you got gas first?
No, I took her home first and then went by the store.
Okay. And when you are coming back to Dixon County, Well, first, where did you live at the time?
Garners Creek Road. Garners Creek Road.
Was it 1450 Garners Creek Road?
Yes.
And when you were driving home, tell us how you got home. What roads?
Highway 70 from Franklin all the way, 96 to 70.
So you left Williamson County on Highway 96. 96, does that intersect with Highway 70?
Yes, it does.
And then you went towards McEwen on Highway 70? And then you took a left on Garners Creek Road?
Yes.
And then were you traveling south on Garners Creek?
Yes.
Okay. And as you were traveling south on Garners Creek Road, did you observe something?
Yes.
What did you observe?
Someone standing on the bridge.
Okay. Someone standing on a bridge. And tell us a little bit more about the bridge as far as what was on the side of the road. What else did you observe?
It's just it's a dry creek bed under the bridge.
Okay.
Someone was just standing there on the east side of the road against the guardrail.
On the east side of the road against the guardrail. Was there a utility pole close to that location?
I believe so.
Now, the first thing I want you to look at is a map on the screen.
I will never lose.
I hate this.
I would never
Sorry.
lose. I will never lose. When you have a malleable disability.
Okay.
I'm also going to hand you a smaller copy of that map, okay? Judge, you testified you were traveling southbound on Garners Creek Road?
Yes.
And you lived at the time at 1450 Garners Creek Road?
Correct.
And you can't see it in detail from this map, but approximately here, there's a guardrail and a bridge. And you say the bridge goes over a dry creek bed?
Yes.
And somewhere on this bridge, next to the guardrail, is where you observed someone standing. And about what time was that?
I think it was probably about 1:30.
1:30 in the morning.
And does the map that you're holding reflect the one on the screen?
Yes.
I'll pass that as the next exhibit, please. Okay, Ms. Jones, does this appear to be the bridge, guardrail, utility pole headed southbound on Garners Creek?
Yes.
And when you get to this point, about how far are you from your residence?
Probably a half a mile.
A half a mile. And on this photograph, guardrail over here, is that correct? Utility pole? And where, and I'll point to the place you tell me, where did you see a person standing?
By that utility pole.
Right here? Now, were they on, which side of the guardrail were they on?
They were on this side.
Nearest the road?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in between the road and the guardrail, or on the road?
In between the road and the guardrail.
And right at this utility pole? And you're driving southbound, and it's approximately 1:30?
Right.
And does the photograph I'm handing you look like the one we see on the screen?
Yes, it does.
I'll move that as the next exhibit.
159.
And Ms. Jones, at some point, excuse me, at some point you called the Dixon County Dispatch Center and made a report of this observation, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you remember what day you made your report?
Maybe a couple of days after.
Okay.
After that.
I want to give you a chance, and you actually provided a written statement, is that correct? I'll give you a chance to read over your written statement before I ask some questions about it. This one.
So you guys, a witness seen him on the side of the road with his child. 2 witnesses.
Ready? Okay, so on the night of April 3rd, it says that you were driving home and you went to Franklin, Tennessee to make a bond. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you left there and you made 2 stops. Is that correct?
Yes.
We have the wrong thing.
Take that down. You made 2 stops?
Yes.
And then you went from Highway 96 to Highway 70?
Correct.
And then from 70 to Garner's Creek?
Correct.
And then what did you observe?
Someone standing on the bridge.
Okay. And did you make an observation as to what the person was wearing?
Yes.
What were they wearing?
It was a multicolored shirt and red shorts.
Okay. And in your written statement, do you note the time that, or the date that you called law enforcement to report this?
After I had seen the
morning hours of the 4th, you see this on Garner's Creek, and a couple of days goes by, and in that couple of days, do you observe something on the news?
Yes.
And it makes you call and make this report. And what do you report exactly, who you observed?
Mr. Daniels.
Joseph Daniels?
Yes, sir.
And you observed him standing on this location in a colorful shirt and red shorts?
Yes.
Okay. I'd ask that her statement be made the next exhibit, please.
Okay, you guys. So let's just talk about this. Candace was seen on Light Hollow Road, and they turned that into TBI right away. So I'm just saying that Joe Clyde Daniels reminds me a lot. You can learn a lot from his case and what happened, to him, and compare it to these other cases. It's really strange that Don and Candace really made a big deal about the door, the basement door, whether Summer could lock it or unlock it. And they did the same thing with Joe Clyde Daniels. They said he could lock it, but actually a teacher got on stand and said that Joe Clyde Daniels had a really hard time manipulating a key in a lock, and he wasn't able to do it in class. So there's no way he could have did that, climbed up there without a sound, without waking anybody up. But really what happened, you guys, is that he peed, and Joe Clyde Daniels, his father, Joe Daniels, same name, he got angry with him for peeing in the bed and peeing on the floor, whatever, and he beat that boy. And I believe he took off out the house, just like the prosecutor said, and he caught him, and then he killed him. And it's very sad. He was only 5 years old, just a precious little boy. And Summer was only 5 when she went missing, and now we got Sebastian missing. And it's just strange, the door, they said he walked out the door and locked it behind him. But there's no sign of him anywhere. And there's no scent of him anywhere. And he lived in a rich neighborhood where a lot of doorbell cams would have caught his movement. Somebody would have caught his movement. Somebody would have seen him somewhere. He's not like Inspector Gadget or the Invisible Man that Sebastian can hide. And neither is Summer. And I truly believe that after watching all the cases that we do, after studying all these cases, I truly believe that the parents are almost always guilty of the crime when they say that their children are missing or abducted. I don't never believe it. I'm sorry. Unless it's like really serious and you can take the parents serious, but I have not been able to take Sebastian's mom and his stepdad serious. So, I know that Sebastian's father has 2 private eyes on the case, And I believe they will figure something out, and TBI will. And I believe there will be arrests, and we will see it. But there's just so many common similarities. It just bothers me a lot. And so, it just seems like people are so similar to each other. And when they commit these crimes, you know what I mean? In the way that they do things, but we still don't know what he could have done with Joe Clyde Daniel's body. I believe they searched the landfill. Also, I believe that they searched the ponds, and I think they thought that he was dismembered. They found bones scattered. I mean, this father didn't remember where he put his son. Okay, right. But I'm glad they got that confession out of him. And I truly hope that they get some kind of confession, or that the boys tell what happened, you know, to Summer. Yeah, it just really, it's very sad, all these missing child cases. What I did notice, though, that a lot of kids went missing when COVID was here. It's like people were locked up in the house and everybody was upset, you know. So, I don't know. It just, you know what I mean? It just, because kids weren't in school and they were with their parents a lot more. I just think that it's just pitiful, and I think it's strange, but don't give up hope. Listen, because look it took that long for Joe Clyde Daniels, and they were able to convict the father without a body. So Don and Candace, or Sebastian's family, don't think that they can't convict someone without a body, because they can, and they have, and they will, because all they gotta have is, you know, a lot of circumstantial evidence, and I think that they could prove it. So, but yeah, it's really, it's just really weird, and it's sad. But you guys, don't give up hope. You know, I think we're gonna find that someone's gonna find Summerwell someday, and I'm hoping that the boys give come out and tell what happened. And I think that Sebastian will be found, and if he's not found, I know that people will be arrested, and it's gonna happen. It just takes time, okay? So anyways, you guys, I just wanted to come on and show you about Joe Clyde Daniels, because I've talked about him a lot, but I've never really did a video. So I thought, well, I'll do a video and compare his story to Summerwell's and Sebastian's, and there is a lot of similarities. So anyways, you guys, I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing good, getting ready to, I'm hoping to start gardening pretty soon. I have some raised beds outside, and I plant stuff. I've been busy thinking about stuff like that and getting things together and trying to clean my house so that I can do a lot more outside this summer, you know what I mean? And I haven't really been paying attention to any of the drama channels or anybody. So I don't really know about stuff going on that way. But I know that somebody called and said that they had Sebastian, and just like they did in Summerwell's case, those people are scamming, and they're just trying to distract and confuse a criminal case of a missing child. That's all they're doing. So anyways, you guys, I just wanted to come on here for a little bit. I've been on here long enough, but I love all you guys, and I'm thinking of you, and I hope you have a great weekend. And if you get time, watch some more of these videos with Joe Clyde Daniels, because you'll see a lot. And it was a really interesting case, and it was very sad. And I feel bad for him. And I do believe there's a lot of little missing children in heaven right now. So you guys take it easy and good night.